Well, Matty Tamua, aka Pup, welcome to the Captain's Call. It's been last but definitely not least, mate. Good to have you on board. And how's it all been since Super Rugby.au kicked off, going on nearly 6 weeks ago, mate?
Yeah, it's good. Thanks for having us. Yeah, I think like everyone, COVID was, or the lockdown period was pretty weird and awkward. So it's kind of nice having a bit of normality, playing some rugby. Obviously in Melbourne now, they've gone back to it. So it's a little bit hard for people down there. But yeah, it's been nice to play some rugby again. It's something that we missed for sure.
Well, right off the bat, you just mentioned the world has changed and we're in the COVID, living throughout COVID. We're not even post-COVID yet, but what's it been like from a Rebels perspective, one training through that uncertainty period when Super Rugby was being played, went about round 7 or 8, then the world stopped, then all of a sudden Super Rugby AU's commenced again, but then also, it's probably three-pronged question, then obviously you're based outside of Melbourne. So what's that been like? So just start with what it was like initially when you're in Melbourne and rugby wasn't being played at all.
Yeah, it was odd. You kind of didn't, like anyone, I guess, in any line of work. It's just, you just didn't know. There was the uncertainty. That was probably the weirdest thing. And so, you know, at the start, originally, you start pretty motivated. We had a lot of like Zoom calls every day to try to keep guys engaged. And as it happens, you know, less kind of information comes in, or we don't know how long it's going to go, and that starts to dwindle. And then, I think like a lot of people, it's quite challenging. It was probably a little bit challenging trying to keep your fitness and stuff as well. Obviously a fair part of the job. So, and then, you know, seeing a bit of the negotiations in regards to pay and everything, you know, there's a lot of upheaval there in all sorts of line of work. I think we're pretty fortunate now that we're kind of, you know, it's a little bit normal for us. Obviously we're on tour now, we're stuck in Terrigal. But I think we're pretty lucky considering, so pretty fortunate in that sense.
Well, you're stuck in Terrigal. It's a long way from being down south in the Victorian border. What's it been like having that as your base camp for the Rebels?
It's been great. So before that, we were in Canberra, Sydney, then back to Canberra. A little bit, you know, we're just kind of making it up as we go because, you know, obviously it was an ever-changing situation. So at the moment, look, we've ended up near the beach, training not too far away. Playing games a couple of hours away, so it's, you know, as I said, we're pretty fortunate. Obviously, we've got some friends and family down in Melbourne doing a lot tougher than we are. So yeah, times when you feel a little bit out of your comfort zone, you only got to, you know, look home and see what everyone else is going through. So yeah, we're pretty lucky. It's a pretty good spot, and they've taken care of us here for sure.
Oh, that's great. It's funny. I was at Leichhardt Oval last week when you had that wonderful Super Time victory. Second time in Super Time. We'll talk a bit about that soon.
Man.
But in the lead up to it, we got a chance to get a glimpse into the change room. We saw with the force that who they were doing it for. There's a storyboard of family, friends, etc. It must be difficult. That's a piece we haven't spoken about too much because a lot of people, like from the Waratahs, the Brumbies, and also the Reds, they've had home base. For you guys, what's that been like? It must be difficult.
Yeah, it is. Probably the start was probably harder when we didn't know where we're going to be, you know, in 2 days' time, 3 days' time, or whatever. It kind of happened quite suddenly. We were in Melbourne, and then we just got told, "Oh, listen, you got about 36 hours. We got to be on a plane, packed for a couple of weeks." You know, and that was about 6-7 weeks ago or something like that. So it's
you're on a short tour, and now it's 6 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. Like you know, we on the weekend had to go and get some clothes actually because I only bought like a couple shirts, thinking all right, a couple golf shirts, thinking no, I'll be all right.
Essentials.
And then
couple of gloves, as well. That's it. All-weather glove.
A few spare balls and a little cup. But yeah, so look, it's you know, it's out of your comfort zone, but by no means is it hard. You know, we're still on rugby tour, we're still with your mates. You know, and I guess one thing I've really enjoyed about COVID, or that positive out of it, has been the care that people have shown for each other. I think
nice.
You're definitely checking in on people a lot more. You know, how are you? How's your partner, kids, all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely been something that's been front of mind for us. You know, making sure that everyone here is happy, but just as importantly, if not more, people at home are doing all right. So it's something I've probably learned a little bit, and it's been a good little positive from it, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the case with a lot of people. It brings it back to basics too, doesn't it? And from a rugby perspective, bring it back to the rugby, mates. That victory against the Force on the weekend, like that's your second super time experience. But the way you guys did it was fantastic in terms of going for the try. You scored the try. Isi Nasarani, beautiful pick and go. You can't stop him close to the line. But can you explain for the listeners, like, what's the mindset going into super time? Because it's a situation where you're at a draw. No one likes a draw, but you got a chance to win. What are the comms when you get together about what's the next phase that you need to focus on?
Yeah, well, so I guess specifics, we got the kickoff, which was probably something we wanted actually because territory was pretty important because the ball was pretty greasy. But I think in situations like this, and it's probably indicative or, related in a sense to other parts, there is a lot of uncertainty. We're all kind of looking who's kicking off and are we going for three? Are we going? And all we asked of our team was just a huge lift in intensity, basically, and irrelevant of the specifics of we catch the ball, they catch the ball, defense, whatever. We just wanted to win that contact and have that lift in intensity. And we were fortunate enough that we had a few guys just come off the bench that are relatively fresh. And I think if you watch that super time, that's like it was clear that we were hungrier. We're winning the contact zone. We're playing a lot quicker, and it's probably the way we should have played the whole game in a way. So it's probably a little bit of just a mindset shift there that we would be really proactive in how we attack this game. We don't go at it tentative. We go at it, full ball, and sometimes things happen from that. It's quite funny. You can get stuck in your playbook and all that, but sometimes there's no substitute for just sheer intensity, people running hard, leg drive, good clean out. And I think that's what happened in the end there. And it was nice to kind of learn from that, I think, from the earlier game where we ended up drawing as well. So it was a good little change.
Yeah, well, it probably heightens all the things. That's a good point you made. It probably heightens the fact that you don't have another 20 or 30 minutes, or you mightn't have to go in at half time and there's another 40 minutes, whatever it is, the time frame that you have. When it's super time, you've got 5 minutes each side to get a result. So you have to shift that way. So what I liked about it, watching it and commentating on was the fact that you guys went for the win. Like the win can be a field goal. It's easy to say, well, we're going to set up for the field goal. And at times that can be defensive, but the field goal is almost off the back of being positive and moving yourself into position. But if you're still moving the ball well, why not go for the try and end it with a try? That's what that was the most pleasing aspect of your victory against the Force. And they don't go away, do they?
Yeah, exactly. And look, it was quite an easy, to be honest, as you say that now, I wasn't even thinking field goal because you know what it's like when you get good carries, good clean outs, and you're constantly moving forward. You don't need to sit in the pocket. If anything, you're probably taking your foot off the throat a little bit. And the ball was nice. It was a wet day. It was a wet night. And so you often, if you would win the contact, you'd get a couple extra meters and you'd slide on the ground. And didn't even cross our minds, to be honest, because as I said, we asked for that lift in intensity, and you saw it, and it was super pleasing. A lot of young guys as well, coming off the bench, and it's really nice when you say something, you get a response like that. And I was like, there's a lot not to like about the game.
No.
But from our point of view, but to have that it's awesome to work with because we've got a pretty engaged group, which is nice.
We can see that. To be fair, I can see that across all the teams. They're playing for each other. There's great spirit and energy from all the teams. But mate, there's never been a perfect game of rugby. I never played one. I think it's the unattainable, but you're aspiring to get there. But from your perspective as skipper of this group, what's the most pleasing aspect you've probably taken from the first 5 weeks? Because you've been in 2 super times, you've been in the wrestle, you've had some really good victories, and you've been on the road. So I've just tipped a few of the things which aren't like they're out of your control. But explain to me what you've been so pleased about as a leader / skipper of the team. Yeah,
just the response, I think, of the young guys. We've traditionally been a little bit slow to start this year. Probably, when was it? Week before last when we played New South Wales out there, SCG. It was a rough week. We were in Canberra, then we got moved up. Long bus trip, lots of things kind of just, went a bit all over the place. And then on the way to the game, we got stuck in huge traffic, about 2.5, 3 hours drive, got there late, had to rush to the game. And a lot of kind of variables and things that we couldn't control. And the response from the guys was probably our best game that we had played, because there was just this mindset of, we're away from home, all this kind of things. And, things aren't perfect, but we're going to do it for each other. We're going to hang in there, and, we're just going to simplify the game a little bit. And I think that's something that's been quite pleasing, is that you can get caught up thinking about game plans and all this kind of thing. But I think the ability to simplify the game and play for your mates is something that's really kind of come through. And that's probably been a lesson for me, because I've traditionally been someone who thinks about game plans, all week. So, I think the response from them, there's been a lot of guys, we lost a lot of people during COVID to overseas contracts, going home, particularly in the forward pack. But a young group come through there, and been super impressed by how energetic they've been and how they've just kind of taken the reins there. So that's made my job a lot easier, that's for sure.
Oh, it's pleasing. And game plans, like, it's important to have a game plan. Like, you can't go into unprepared. But and I heard you speak about it post-game last week. But you've also got to have that ability to adjust, and that's critical too. And I spoke to Alan Alatoa last week, and he was just saying, like, it really is a winter sport at the moment, rugby, because you're normally not playing Super Rugby this time of year. But because of that, you mentioned cooler conditions. You have to make adjustments throughout the course of the game, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. And the ability to adjust, like for us, I think you even look at our games, the first 20 minutes has been really different to the last 20, purely out of conditions. It really starts to come in there. So the ability to adjust there, as you say, have the game plan, but then, have a clear mind and clear, good leadership, in the sense that you know what you're trying to do, and you are adjusting to, whether it be the conditions or the ref or the opposition. So that's quite important. I think one thing I'm definitely learning a lot about now is kind of the art of the game a little bit more, trying to play momentum a little bit more, trying to feel the game rather than just being so structured and that kind of stuff. Actually get a feel of the game, what the ref's doing, what the opposition are doing, if we've got momentum. I'm enjoying that. It's not an easy thing, but it's definitely something that I think to be fair, a lot of older guys and past players have probably been critical of the younger generation, and I'm probably starting to see a little bit of what they're talking about now. So it's been kind of nice having this new sphere of knowledge, or whatever, trying to learn about it. So it's been enjoyable.
Well, it's good. Like, obviously, you spent some time working with your pup back in the day, like when you were down the Brumbies, and obviously a little bit last year. Sean Byrne, great attacking coach, a really strong emphasis on quality, positive rugby, and picking up on, as those you've just explained, in the art of the game. And I mentioned it over the weekend too. And you're never going to talk about yourself too much, but I always felt that you're at your best when you're the whole triple threat, whatever you want to call it. You've obviously got great ability to break the line with your footwork and your strength through contact, the passing game, but also the ability to kick. How important is that? Like, it could be some listeners in here who are trying to learn the art at a young age, or whatever age they're at, of being a playmaker. It's not easy, but they're three things you kind of want to have at your disposal more often than not, don't you?
Yeah, I think now more so than ever. We're super lucky in Australian rugby now. You look, some of our most skillful guys are our type 5, in particular our props and our front row. And I think the position of fly half has evolved a little bit. You're far less a distributor now. You've got to be an attacking threat. And if you get caught up in a ruck, it doesn't really matter as much now, because Alan or Taniela or Tremaine,
Matt Phillip might do that.
Like
exactly. Anyone.
Yeah, they can throw a cutout. And whereas back in the day, you would never touch a breakdown. So that, I think that's really evolved, and you're seeing the top fly halves in the world now are runners. You're seeing a lot of them have played 12, have moved in. Burton Barrett's played 15, has moved in, and it's they need to be. You need to have that triple threat, as you say. It's no longer a position of pass and kick. It's very much threatening the line, and it's quite exciting. I think I enjoy it because that's probably is when I play my best. It's just a bit more instinctive rather than overthinking the game, which I can do at times. So it's nice when you have the backing and you feel like you've got the confidence to attack the line. If you get caught up in a ruck, the team will be fine. They don't need you to call. So that's been really cool, and I think it's definitely been a part of my game that I've been trying to improve, trying to be a threat at the line, and I think playing a little bit of 12 helped that. It's I think the position's evolved as well.
Yeah, that's really noticeable watching the force. I know in the past you played really, really, really flat. Quade was there. You obviously played there a little bit last year. That double pivot is a great thing too, but being able to adjust your alignment's really, really critical. But what I love is the fact that, as you said, like if you're a playmaker, you got to have the ability to sometimes be first receiver, but sometimes you can be second receiver, or sometimes you can put yourself in that second receiver position by receiving like that tip pass from a forward who have all got great skills. 1 to 5, as you say, the game has evolved in many ways, and they can tip it on, and that allows the game to be more instinctive. And it's actually great to watch too, because the ball can go from being really, really tight, there's a bit of pick and drive, then all of a sudden it can go to the edge pretty quickly. So it stresses a lot of defence. And that's probably the pleasing aspect I think you pick up, and it's improving, would you say, from week to week within the Rebels?
Yeah, definitely. It's something that we've been analysing a little bit, when do we play our best rugby? And it is when everyone's a threat, when people can move the ball, when you're running hard. I know it sounds really simple, but often I think teams, and I definitely was guilty of it, teams got obsessed with shape and structure and, who's on my inside or outside latch. And sometimes there's just no substitute for getting a little bit deeper and sprinting onto the ball, and I think that simplicity bit of it, things evolve from that, and you got to trust your ability to decision make post that you'll figure out a way, because you're playing front football. So rather than setting it all back slow and who's going this breakdown, that breakdown, or whatever, just beating a man one-on-one, or using your skills to pass, and then as you would always say, not letting them recover once you've got that front football. Getting nice and flat, getting the 9 flat, and not letting them recover and taking advantage of that. So it is good. I've really enjoyed it. It's definitely a lot less structured than I think teams have been in the past. But yeah, I think that's the way the game's going. I think it's pretty exciting in that sense. That's
good. You talk about exciting. I'm excited by this weekend's game. You're up against your old foe, mate. But it sets up to be a really quality game this Friday. But also just the competition. It's so tight, isn't it? Anyone on any given night/day can knock each other off. What are you looking forward to most about this upcoming match against the Brumbies?
Hopefully a good win. We've played them twice this year. They've got the better of us, but I think if you watch those games back, it was very much on a knife edge. Yeah, knife edge, really was. With 10 to go, could have gone either way. So, hopefully we've learned from that. The Brumbies they're phenomenal out of the blocks. They're really, really good starters to the game. They have such clear intent or game plan about what they want to do. They want to get a penalty, they want to hit the line, they want to pressure your set piece and play front football and win that contact zone and get 3 points or a more try, and they are very good at it. So us counteracting that's going to be a big challenge for us, because I think the first 20 last game in Canberra we just left ourselves too much to do, really. We played the game we wanted to, but we just gave a little bit too much at the start. So hopefully we've learned from that. It's been similar story in both games against them. So hopefully we've learned from that. It'll be good not playing in Canberra as well.
It's
the home
cold,
ground advantage. Yeah,
I spoke to my folks last week. It's cold.
Yeah, it was cold a couple of weeks ago, so I can't imagine now. So it'll be good, playing them away. Hopefully that, if we get a little kick out of that, and hopefully the drive's nice and long for them up to Sydney.
Yeah, exactly. Now you talk about all the driving and all the travelling, et cetera, with the competition. But you're spot on. They've been coming down to the wire, these matches. Why do you think that is? Because I played against the Force as well last week. The margins are smaller and smaller between these teams, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Look, I think I really think playing in this domestic comp has just, I think everyone's confidence is a lot higher. I think maybe when we're younger teams and we play against some older Kiwi teams or South African teams, maybe our confidence is as high, or maybe we don't trust our skills, or we think the game's a bit bigger than it is. When really now everyone knows each other. We after the game you can be in your change room or their change room, everyone, And I think that simplifies it a little bit. Everyone knows that, you know, they're not superhuman or whatever. And I generally think we're playing a lot better because of that. I think all teams are playing a lot better because of that, because we know, you know, there's not much to lose. Guys are so keen to play. There's a lot of, you know, Wallaby jerseys up for grabs. And, yeah, look, Australian rugby hasn't been on its highs of highs lately. And it's been good to kind of see a lot of guys go after it and attack that. And I think, yeah, I know it sounds a little bit, a bit weird, but I really do think the way people have been playing and the confidence they've been playing with has been like noticeable. And I think we've got a lot of depth, more depth than we probably thought.
Yeah, there definitely seems to be a real shift in terms of people really backing themselves. That's from players, coaches, being really, really positive and trying to make the most out of these. And I reckon they're positive law changes on both sides of the ball. You've been in the competition 6 weeks now. What do you think are the best parts of these law changes? Because, as we said, they're on both sides of the ball, aren't they? Attack and defence.
Yeah, look, the 50-22 is one I think that I'd hope it goes to the next level, really. It just forces teams to be softer on the edge, which allows you to attack, you know. So you might look at a game and go, oh, they only hit 150-22, but the other, you know, unintended consequences are teams are attacking from, you know, their own half a little bit more. They're getting a little bit more bend on the edge. So I think that's something that's been really positive. I know defensively you've got to think about it, particularly off scrums. You have to be really soft and D, and that allows team to attack. So I think that's been a really good one. The held up one's an interesting one. We've been done a few times. We've had to change tactically a few things around our pick and go, and maybe trying to get to a little bit wider space, because, you know, once you get held up, you're back in your half a little bit. So that's, you know, you could probably argue that's a good thing. But yeah, I think it's just been really cool, just, you know, throwing out an idea and being proactive with it and trying to improve our game. I think that's what everyone is out there to do. And that's been a really cool process, I think. And then obviously super time. It's been great. Love the idea of it being golden point. And that's been really exciting.
No, it's been good. It's been great to see too. And I think one of the pleasing aspects is just that adjustment in terms of tactically, because like you mentioned it earlier, I want to harp on this. I'm going to finish with talking about something non-rugby. But mate, the whole keeping the back three honest, because if they don't cover the back three, so for people who might be too clear on it, if your fullback and both wingers are concerned about it, defending a 50-22, then it does frees up the front line defence, doesn't it, in terms of allows you to play, as you said, to the edges. Yeah. And if they do come up, then you've got the ability with a good kicking game, we've seen this quite a bit, to really hurt them without that coverage. So it makes that fullback work really, really hard, and the back three communicate really well. Otherwise, then you get burnt.
Yeah, it's tough. And then it means the front line have to be a little bit more passive in their defence, because they're going to cover a lot more space. So, which allows the attacking team to be on the front foot, allows them to be more aggressive. And there are, whilst the rule change is very much based around kicking, I think it's actually been a really positive attacking adjustment to our game. So, as I said, it would be really interesting, or it would be really cool if that does progress up the chain a little bit and get to other competitions. Yeah.
Tend to agree with you big time. And as I said, I'm going to change the subject, mate, away from rugby. I know you're an avid golf fan. You know, this week they're playing at Harding Park, USPGA. There's going to be no crowds. Who's one of your favourite golfers, and who are you tipping for the PGA this week? Justin Thomas just won last week, WGC.
I know he's the favourite. I was just looking at the odds just before this. Obviously, he's gone to number one now. Brooks is up there. I think Xander might do all right. I love Louis. And Louis was, I think he was tight six on the weekend.
What a swing.
Beautiful. You know, him and Scotty probably have the best swings. So I think I would love to see Louis do well. He's paying quite high as well, so that would be cool. Top 10 finish.
If he putts well, he's going to be there. He'll be in the back nine on the Sunday. Don't worry.
Yeah,
he gets his putting right, because he doesn't hit too many bad shots.
No, he doesn't. It's hard to with a beautiful swing like him. So. I'm pretty excited, actually. I was actually just watching the LPGA just before this call, and I think it starts 6 a.m. on Friday, so I know what I'll be doing before the game. I've got my clubs here right next to me, actually, and I've been putting along the room, and nice little addiction at the moment, which is good fun, as you know.
Well, and just, mate, how important is that? Just like I spoke to Ian Pryor, I know they've been in the Hunter, like just that little getaway away from rugby. We've spoken a lot about rugby. That's why I wanted to change it. it's important to have a little hobby or something. Some guys are studying. Some guys, if they can, love to get away on their day off away from rugby. Is golf a big part of your escapism?
Yeah, huge. I actually use it, to be fair. I use it to help my rugby as well, in terms of like a lot of mental prep, particularly around kicking. So it's definitely during COVID, I actually was experimenting with a few things around my kicking, and then just kind of like introduced it with golf and bit of movement stuff, and it's been really good. But yeah, purely from the mental side, on our day off, I'll often just go book a round at a local course. Gosford last week and this week.
Nice.
I like to just go there by myself and kind of escape the team. I don't play with the other boys, and I just meet a few old boys, and we have 18 holes, and then we have a drink after, and you just chat about life and all sorts of things, and you kind of forget about your own little bubble that you're in. And
that's great. What's your sneaky handicap now, Matt? Like, don't tell me.
It's not. I'm not proud of it yet. It's at 10.4 at the moment.
That's good.
No,
I know you want to cut that in half, don't you? That's the sort of bloke you are.
I want it to
You're
be
never happy
8 by the end of the year, and then 5 in a couple of years. But I need to compete with you guys. I think I need to be low 5. You and Berkey be robbing me. But yeah, no. It's you know what it's like. It's never ending. I always wanted to be under 15. Then you want to be. It just
It's a game.
It is.
It's beautiful.
Keeps on giving.
Keeps on giving, and it's a game for life. And you don't get eaten by sharks when you go out and try and get that wave out the back.
Exactly.
There's no big
Although I have crashed a golf cart once, and took a bit of bark off the leg, so it can be dangerous if you're not careful. Be dangerous. But it's good.
Just carry, no buggy, just carry. No problem. Just take all the risk out of it. Exactly. Hey, mate, it's been great to chat to you. I know we're sort of coming up to half an hour. Thanks for joining us on the Captain's Call. Good luck this weekend against the Brumbies, and keep up your great form. You're playing well. You're leading your team well. Keep it up, mate.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. Thanks for having me.
No worries, mate.
Cheers, mate.